On 16th October 1813, near Leipzig in Saxony, the largest battle of the Napoleonic Wars began. It still matters because it helped decide whether Europe would remain under French dominance or move toward a new balance of power. By then, Napoleon's empire had been weakened by the disastrous Russian campaign and by rising resistance across Europe. Kings, ministers, and generals saw a chance to push French power back. Napoleon still commanded enormous experience and speed, but his enemies had learned to coordinate against him. He faced pressure to win quickly, even as his resources and allies were narrowing. Across the coalition stood Austrian, Prussian, Russian, and Swedish commanders, each with different aims and caution levels. Their unity was imperfect, but their shared fear of French power gave them momentum. The armies were immense for the age, with infantry squares, cavalry, and massed artillery moving on muddy roads. Supply wagons, horses, and exhausted men made logistics as important as battlefield courage. Many soldiers had marched for days through wet weather and poor roads, carrying muskets, powder, and limited food. Morale varied sharply, from veteran confidence to the fatigue of men who knew a major battle was near. The road to Leipzig drew armies from several directions, turning the city into a military crossroads. Villages, rivers, and bridges mattered because they controlled movement and escape. The battlefield lay across flat ground, broken by villages, streams, and marshy patches, with the city behind the French position. October weather brought low clouds, damp air, and occasional fog that blurred distances. Napoleon's plan relied on concentration and rapid counterattack, hoping to defeat the coalition pieces before they fully joined. The Allies, by contrast, aimed to surround and wear down his army from multiple sides. On the first day, artillery opened the battle and infantry advanced toward villages that anchored the lines. The fighting was intense, but at long range it looked more like rolling smoke and shifting formations than close-up chaos. Several villages changed hands repeatedly, each one becoming a pressure point in the wider struggle. Control of these places shaped sightlines, movement, and the ability to hold the center. As the battle expanded, the coalition pressed harder on the French flanks. Napoleon's forces were forced to stretch, defend, and react, which made every reserve unit increasingly valuable. The fighting became a contest of endurance as much as maneuver. Men, horses, and ammunition all had limits, and the side that could keep pressure on longer gained the advantage. Coalition commanders kept tightening the net, while French units tried to hold roads open toward the west. The battlefield was no longer just a line, it was becoming a ring. By the third day, the decisive movement came as coalition pressure made French withdrawal increasingly urgent. A bridge over the retreat route became the critical point for escape or disaster. Confusion spread when the retreat route was disrupted too early, trapping many units on the wrong side of the water. What had been an organized withdrawal turned into a hurried and uneven collapse. Some French formations held together long enough to protect the retreat, but the army's cohesion was badly shaken. The coalition had achieved the kind of pressure Napoleon usually inflicted on others. After the battle, Leipzig and the surrounding countryside were filled with abandoned equipment, shattered wagons, and weary survivors. The scale of the retreat made the victory unmistakable. The defeat forced Napoleon westward and encouraged his enemies to press on. In the months that followed, the coalition advanced toward France itself. For many German states, the battle accelerated a shift away from French control. It also strengthened the idea that a broader German political future might someday be possible. For Europe, Leipzig marked a turning point in the long struggle against Napoleon. It did not end war at once, but it changed the balance of confidence and initiative. Historians still debate how much Napoleon's choices versus coalition coordination determined the result. Most agree, though, that numbers, logistics, and timing all mattered enormously. Some accounts emphasize French tactical skill under pressure. Others stress the coalition's growing professionalism. The battle is best understood as a clash of adaptation, not a single dramatic mistake. The weather, terrain, and road network also shaped the outcome more than any one speech or gesture. In large battles, the landscape often decides what commanders can only hope to influence. Today, the battle is remembered through memorials, landscapes, and the city's historical memory. Visitors can still sense how a modern city once sat inside a giant military ring. The surviving terrain no longer looks like a battlefield in the old sense, yet rivers, roads, and open ground still reveal why armies gathered there. History remains visible in the shape of the land. Leipzig also reminds us that victory in war can be costly, even when it is decisive. The battle's importance lies not in triumphalism, but in the scale of human effort and exhaustion it represents. The coalition victory helped open the road to Napoleon's first abdication the following year. From there, Europe entered a period of diplomatic rebuilding and renewed political bargaining. Yet the battle did not create a stable peace by itself. It was one major step in a larger reshaping of Europe that would continue through negotiations, restorations, and new tensions. Leipzig's scale made it memorable to soldiers and civilians alike. It became a symbol of the moment when Napoleon's opponents proved they could coordinate on a continental stage. The battle also showed how modern war was becoming more industrial in character, with artillery, supply, and mass movement shaping outcomes. Commanders still mattered, but systems mattered too. For Leipzig itself, the battle entered local memory as both destruction and significance. The city stood at the center of events that reached far beyond Saxony. The battle's aftermath echoed in the careers of officers, the fate of states, and the confidence of empires. It was not just a battlefield event, but a political shockwave. Even now, historians compare battlefield reports, troop movements, and terrain to understand the fight more precisely. The broad outline is clear, but the details remain carefully studied. That careful study matters because Leipzig was not a simple story of one genius or one blunder. It was a collision of strategy, endurance, weather, and political will. In the end, the battle helped close one chapter of the Napoleonic era and open another. Its legacy still shapes how Europe remembers the costs of ambition and coalition war.